Students, next we can see about the eukaryotic cells. The eukaryotic cell includes all the protist, animals, plants and fungal cells. Okay, all these are eukaryotic cells. And we can also see extensive compartmentalization of the cytoplasm. See in the picture what you are seeing, you can see that inside the cell, the cytoplasm is divided into compartments due to the presence of membrane-bound organelles. All the organelles which are present inside the cell are surrounded by membranes which make the cytoplasm into various compartments. Okay, and they also have a well-defined nucleus in the center. You are able to see the nucleus, isn't it? So this is the center. The purple colored one is the nucleus. Okay, and this nucleus is surrounded by a nuclear membrane. So around the nucleus, if you see, you can see the porous nuclear membrane is present. Okay, and they are also having various locomotory structures as well as cytoskeletal structures. So these endoplasmic reticulum all will be forming what? The cytoskeletal structures, and their genetic material is organized into chromosomes. So here you can see a lot of chromosomes are there, and in that chromosomes the genetic materials are present. Okay, now when we see the eukaryotic cells, all the eukaryotic cells are not identical. The plant and animal cells are different, isn't it? The plant cells are having cell wall, plastids, and a large central vacuole is present. Now, on the other hand, if you see the animal cell, they do not have this, isn't it? Cell wall, plastid, and vacuole is absent in animal cell. But the animal cells are having centrioles, isn't it? And that centrioles are absent in plant cells. So, plant cells differ from the animal cells. Okay. Now, when we see about the cell membrane, so plant cells are surrounded by cell wall, even the fungal cells, protistans, some of the protistans are also surrounded by cell wall. But if you take the animal cells, they are surrounded by cell membrane, and all the other cells, that is plant or fungal or protistans, they are also surrounded by what? The cell membrane or the plasma membrane. Okay. Now when we see about the structure of this, due to the invention of the electron microscope in 1950, the scientists were able to study the detailed structure of cell membrane. Okay. In addition to that, the chemical studies of the cell membrane was also done, especially in the human red blood cells. Okay, the chemical study of membrane of human red blood cells enabled the scientists to deduce the possible structure of plasma membrane. Deduce the possible structure means to arrive at the possible structure of plasma membrane. Okay, and all these studies show that the cell membrane is mainly made up of lipids and proteins. So what the cell membrane is made up of? It is made up of lipids as well as proteins. Okay, the lipids, the major lipids which are present are the phospholipids. So which is the major lipid present in the cell membrane? It is the phospholipid. Okay, that means the lipid in association with the phosphate, and these are arranged in a bilayer. That means in two layers they are arranged. The lipid is arranged in two layer, that is we can say it as a bilipid layer. So this bilipid layer is having a polar head towards the outside and a non-polar tail towards the inner side. So this is the structure of the plasma membrane. If you see here, you can see the bilipid layer. This is one layer. Okay, this is one layer and this is another layer. So thus we can say two lipid layers are there. Okay, in this two lipid layer you can see the round structures here. They are the polar head, and here the tail is there, isn't it? This line like this you can see. So this is the non-polar tail. Okay, the polar head is facing towards the outer side and the non-polar tail is facing towards the center, isn't it? In this picture if you see, This is the polar head. It is facing towards the outer side, and the non-polar tail is facing towards the center, towards the inner part of the membrane. Okay, this polar head actually is having phosphate group, so it is hydrophilic in nature. Hydrophilic means water loving. It can attach with the water molecules. But the non-polar tail is hydrophobic in nature. Hydrophobic means what? Hating, repulsion. Okay, so it is water hating or water repelling. It cannot attach with the water molecules. Why? Because the non-polar tail is formed of fatty acids. Okay, so in order to attach with the water molecule, the non-polar head region will be facing towards the outer side, and the the polar head will be facing towards the outer side, and the non-polar tail will be facing towards the inner side. Okay. Now, in addition to the phospholipids, the membrane also contains cholesterol. Okay, cholesterol is the fatty material present. So, the membrane also contains some cholesterol on the outer surface. Okay, then in addition to this, they also contains the lipid component as the phosphoglyceride. So, the lipid component which is present in this cell membrane is phosphoglycerides. Okay. Now, when we see about the biochemical structure of the cell membrane, it tells us that it reveals that the cell membrane is formed of proteins and carbohydrates also, in addition to the bilipid layer. Okay, so in addition to bilipid layer, what is also present? Proteins as well as carbohydrate are there. You can see here these are the carbohydrates which are present, and this is the protein. So proteins are there as well as carbohydrates are also there on the membrane. Okay. For example, when we see about the human being cell membrane, cell membrane of erythrocyte, that is RBC, it is having approximately 52% protein and 40% lipids are there. And the percentage of this protein and lipid will be varying from membrane to membrane. Okay. In human erythrocyte, that is RBC, 52% protein and 40% lipids are present. Okay. Then, depending on the ease of extraction, membrane proteins can be classified as integral protein and peripheral proteins. So two types of proteins are there. One is the integral protein and another one is the peripheral protein. Okay. So based on whether it can be easily extracted or not, we can classify the proteins into integral and peripheral. Peripheral proteins will be lying on the surface of the membrane. Okay, it will be lying on the surface of the membrane, and the integral protein will be present partially or totally inside the membrane. Okay, either they may be partially inside or totally they will be seen inside the membrane. Okay. An improvised model of the structure of cell membrane was proposed by Singer and Nicholson. So, who proposed the accepted model, improvised or improved model of a cell membrane? It was given by Singer and Nicholson in the year 1972. Okay, it is the widely accepted model and it is named as the fluid mosaic model. Okay, so what we are seeing in this picture is what? The fluid mosaic model. So according to this model, the plasma membrane is quasi-fluid in nature. That means a little fluidity will be there for the membrane. It is not rigid. Okay, it is flexible and it is quasi-fluid in nature. And the lipid layer will be quasi-fluid in nature, which enables the lateral movement of protein within the lipid bilayer. Okay, so the protein molecules can laterally move within the bilayer, lipid bilayer. Okay. So this ability to move within the membrane is measured as its fluidity. Okay, that's why we say it as quasi-fluid nature. Okay, so the ability of the membrane to move the proteins within the membrane is measured as its fluidity. Okay, the fluid nature of the membrane is also important for various functions like cell growth, formation of intercellular junctions, secretion, endocytosis, cell division, etc. Okay. One of the most important function of plasma membrane is the transport of molecules across it. You have already seen that in ninth class that the plasma membrane is selectively permeable membrane. What do you mean by selectively permeable membrane? It can allow certain molecules to move in and out of the cell, isn't it? It will not allow all the molecules to move. Only certain selected molecules can be allowed to move inside or outside the cell. That's why the plasma membrane is said to be a selectively permeable membrane. Okay, and many molecules can move across the membrane without the utilization of energy. Okay. Without utilizing energy, many molecules can move across the membrane, and such a type of transport is said to be as passive transport. Passive means it will be moving from a region of high concentration to lower concentration without utilizing energy. So such a transport we can say it as what? A passive transport. Okay. Neutral solutes can move across the membrane by the process of simple diffusion along the concentration gradient. Okay, so the neutral solutes will be moving from higher concentration to lower concentration, that is along the concentration gradient means it will be moving from higher concentration to lower concentration. Okay, and that method is said to be as simple diffusion. If any substance moves from a region of higher concentration to lower concentration, it is said to be a simple diffusion. Neutral solutes move by simple diffusion. Okay, even we can say what the gases like carbon dioxide, oxygen, even they also move by simple diffusion. Okay, then if you see the movement of water, it is done by a type of diffusion called osmosis. So here a slight difference is there. In diffusion, in simple diffusion, whether a membrane is there or not, the substance will be moving from a region of higher concentration to lower concentration. Okay, but here when water is moving, it will be moving from a region of high water concentration to a region of low water concentration across a semi-permeable membrane. So here a membrane is essential. So across that membrane only the water will be moving from a region of high water concentration to a region of low water concentration. So it is also similar to diffusion, but this process is said to be as osmosis, as the membrane is also involved. Okay, then the polar molecules cannot pass through the non-polar lipid bilayer. What is polar molecules? Polar molecules is water-loving molecules, isn't it? They cannot pass through the non-lipid bilayer because the bilipid layer is a non-polar tail, isn't it? So they cannot pass through that. So they require a carrier protein. The carrier proteins are present in the cell membrane and they can facilitate the transport of these polar molecules from one side of the membrane to the other. Okay, polar molecules means which can dissolve in water. The molecules which can dissolve in water, they cannot pass through the non-polar lipid bilayer because they are water hating, water repelling, isn't it? So these molecules, if they want to pass through the membrane, then what is required? A carrier protein is required which can facilitate their transport across the membrane. That is, from one side of the membrane to the other side, they can transport the molecules or substances. Okay, a few ions or molecules are transported across the membrane against the concentration gradient. And that is, what is against the concentration gradient? That is from a region of low concentration to a region of high concentration. So that we say it as against the concentration gradient. Okay, so what is against the concentration gradient means the substances will be moving from a region of low concentration to a region of higher concentration. Okay, so certain a few ions and some molecules can be transported against the concentration gradient. So if a molecule has to be transported from a region of low concentration to high concentration, they need energy. Okay, so it is a energy dependent process. Which will provide the energy for such a process? ATP will be providing the energy. So ATP will be utilized in such a transport, and such a type of transport is said to be as active transport. It is called as active transport. Okay, for example, sodium ions and potassium ions, sodium potassium pump is there, okay, which occurs in this across the cell membrane. So that sodium potassium pump is an active transport. So for the transport of sodium and potassium, energy is utilized. Is it clear? Now, when we see about the cell wall, as you know, the fungi and plant cells are surrounded by a rigid cell wall, isn't it? But it is absent in animal cells. So, this cell wall gives shape to the cell. So, one of the function of the cell wall is what? It gives a shape to the cell, and also it protects the cell from mechanical damage or even from infection. Okay, so what are the function of cell wall? It gives shape to the cell, it protects the cell from mechanical damage and infection. Then it also helps in cell to cell interactions. Okay, if any substance have to be transported or if any such interaction has to take place, also the cell wall is helpful, and it also provides a barrier to undesirable macromolecules. Any large molecules will not be allowed to pass through. Okay, so it can act as a barrier to prevent the movement of undesirable macromolecules. Okay, now when we see about the cell wall of algae, it is made up of cellulose, galactans, mannans, and minerals like calcium carbonate. So this is the composition of the cell wall of algae. So cell wall of algae is made up of cellulose, galactans, mannans, and minerals like calcium carbonate. Okay, this galactans, mannans, these are all modified forms of carbohydrate, and even protein molecules are there. Now, if when we take the other plants, algae, it is like this. In other plants, if you take, it is made up of cellulose, semicellulose, pectins, and proteins. Okay, now when we see the cell wall of a young plant, the primary wall is present. The young plant cells are surrounded by a primary wall. This primary wall is having the capacity to grow. Okay, and to certain extent it will be growing, and after that slowly it will be diminishing. Okay, and it will be followed by the formation of secondary wall. Okay, so this gradually diminishes as the cell matures, and the secondary wall is formed on the inner side of the cell. Okay, so when we see about the primary wall, it will be seen on the outer surface of the cell, and when the cell is maturing, we can see the secondary wall. So here in this picture you can see that, isn't it? So here the primary wall, on the outer surface you can see the primary wall. Okay, and the primary wall will be there in the initial stage, and when the cell is maturing, slowly this primary wall will be diminishing, it will be reducing, and you can see a thick secondary wall will be formed. You can compare it. The primary wall is thin and the secondary wall will be thick. Okay, now in between these two, not in between these two wall, in between two adjacent cell. Okay, so this is the primary cell wall of one cell, this is the primary cell wall of another cell. In between that, if you see, there is another layer which is called the middle lamella. So what is it? It is the middle lamella. You can see in between the cell, here it looks as if a gap is there. Okay, in that region what is present, a middle lamella is there, and it is formed of calcium magnesium pectate. Okay, it is formed of what? Calcium magnesium pectate. Okay, now if you see the another picture I will show. So here you can see this is the primary wall. Okay, this is the primary cell wall, and then you can see the This is the plasma membrane. Okay, the bilipid layer, you can see the plasma membrane, the primary cell wall, and this is the middle lamella. So this is the middle lamella which is present between the primary cell wall of one cell with that of the neighboring cell. Okay, and later this primary cell wall, here what will also be developing, the secondary cell wall will be forming. Okay, and through the cell wall and the middle lamella, a thin layer of cytoplasm will be passing, and it will be connecting the neighboring cells. Okay, one cell will be connected with the next cell, nearby cell, through a small layer of, every thin layer of cytoplasm, and that layer of cytoplasm is called plasmodesmata. So what is plasmodesmata? It is the plasmodesmata. It is the connection, cytoplasmic connection between the adjacent cells. It is nothing but a thin film of cytoplasm. It will be connecting the neighboring cells. So through the small pores which are present in the cell wall, the cytoplasm from one cell will be passing out, and then it will be reaching the cytoplasm of the neighboring cells. So through that only the ions or various substances can be transported. Okay, so this is about the cell wall.